Believe it or not, it was just 4 years ago this month that the economy was in a free fall. Lehman Brothers had collapsed, credit markets seized up worldwide. AIG had to be rescued by the Federal Reserve. The TARP program spent billions of dollars bailing out banks, and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation helped save Citigroup. Sheila Bair was among those making the decisions 4 years ago. She was the chairman of the FDIC, and she's written about that experience and the financial crisis in a new book entitled Bull by the Horns. She joins us tonight from the NASDAQ. Sheila, congratulations on the book. Quite a read to relive those days and months 4 years ago.
Yeah.
After all the billions of dollars spent, the millions of homes foreclosed on, you wrote, "I wonder if we overreacted," and you call about the generosity of the response still troubles you. Why?
Right. The generosity of the response for the banks. We clearly needed to do something, and we should have done far more to help homeowners get their mortgages restructured and to clean up the bank's balance sheets by making them sell those assets, take the losses, and clean up their balance sheets, especially sick ones like Citigroup. So I think there are areas where we didn't do enough, but for the banks, we were very lavish in the amount of money that we gave them, the amount of support we gave them.
Do you regret giving that support today?
Well, I do. A lot of this is retrospective, but you look back on it, and really, most of them only had 1 quarter of loss. They were paying bonuses by the end of 2009 again. And I think, it troubles me now that the narrative of the bailouts has become, well, they made money on a cash flow basis, so it's okay. And I think that just underscores the fallacy of the policies that we pursued in both 2008 and 2009, that somehow by helping the banks get profitable, we're helping the country. And the bank's interest and the country's interest are two very different things.
Yeah, and that highlights the philosophical difference that you talk extensively in the book, especially when it comes to disagreements with now Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner, who was the head of the New York Federal Reserve Bank back then. Why such a philosophical difference, do you think, between how you approached the financial crisis and how he was approaching it? And still approached it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Tim is right to point out he's never worked on Wall Street, but Bob Rubin was his mentor at Treasury.
He worked a few blocks away from Wall Street at the Federal Reserve, though.
Right, yes. Well, the New York Fed is a big bank, and so I do think there tends to be an absorption of that perspective. I do think that Tim, throughout the crisis, and continues to do what he thinks is right, but I do believe that he thinks those large financial institutions are kind of the center of all activity, and if you help them be profitable, then you're going to help the broader economy, and it just hasn't turned out that way. And Japan tried this. There, in previous cycles, and we didn't get our act together during the savings and loan crisis, and it was only when Bill Seidman took the bull by the horns, to use a phrase, and started selling assets and imposing losses that we got the economy going again, the banking recovery going again. So it's, propping up sick institutions, they don't win. They nurse their balance sheet, but they're not in a position, they don't have clean balance sheets, they don't have a lot of capital, they don't go out there and take risks to provide new loans. It just doesn't happen, and that's why, ripping off the Band-Aid and taking your losses early on and cleaning them up and then having them with clean balance sheets go into the economy and provide credit support is a much better process historically that's been shown over and over again.
Sheila, let me ask you, you write in the book how you expressed a number of your complaints and what you saw as shortcomings with the bailout strategies that were coming from various institutions such as the Treasury Department and even the Federal Reserve. You expressed them privately in those meetings. Why didn't you go public with those frustrations 4 years ago? You're outspoken. You've been outspoken at your time at the FDIC.
Right. Well, I think I did on some of them. Certainly on mortgage modifications, I was quite vocal, and I was quoted on the front page of the Wall Street Journal a few days after we did the TARP capital investments in the big banks, that I was perplexed that we were doing this and we weren't doing much to help homeowners. So some of that was public, but throughout my tenure, I tried to have private conversations and use private advocacy before we would use the bully pulpit. But I think, it's well documented that we push back on a lot of these measures. On the same tone, I was trying to be part of the team. I kind of get it both ways. So I wasn't a team player. A lot of people have criticized me for that because I did push back at the meetings. But then now they say, well, you were part of these, so you can't complain now. I don't think that's right. I did participate in them, but I think we made them better. We dialed them back. I didn't like them then. I don't like them now. And I think, it's an important historical perspective for people to have.
You can relive almost day to day in the book. It's quite a read. Sheila Bair along with us, former head of the FDIC, and the name of the book, Bull by the Horns.